Alright, so Will has just managed to prove his worth in front of all of the Magia Vanda and has now been eligible to join a fraction. We then see Elfie running with all that she can. Sarissa calls out to her, but it doesn't help, as Elfie wastes not a second at all as she jumps right into Will's arms. Will himself is pretty surprised by that, as he just says her name. We then see Elfie crying uncontrollably as she thanks God that Will managed to do it. We then see Claire and Sarissa both looking at this. Meanwhile, Colette looks a tiny bit jealous. Anyway, back to the main pair, as Elfie apologizes for not being able to do anything to help. Will just tells her not to be sorry, but instead, be happy. Elfie is confused, but Will tells her that she has waited here for so long, and now he has finally made it, and he has a bright smile on his face. We then get to Claire, who says that she is almost sure that she doesn't have to ask, but she still asks Will about which faction he will be joining. Will is about to say that he is going to join Elfie's fraction. However, not long before, someone grabs him. We see that it's Zio, who straight up tells him that he is wrong, and that he is coming with him, and we can then see that Elfie is about to snap. She starts to emanate some insane power, as she asks Zio to just read the room, asking if he is a pea-brained, witless, man-stealing thief, telling him that she is going to freeze him to death. Will then screams at Elfie to calm down. After that, he asks Zio to please let him go, explaining that he appreciates the sentiment, but that he is planning on going with Elfie. However, he actually gets cut off in his sentence as we see Zio, who just uses his lightning to completely fry him, and he screams out. In the next panel, we see him completely out of it as Elfie screams out his name. Zio then holds him in his head and asks him what he said, asking if Will said that he wanted to join the Thunder Fraction and that it's settled then. However, obviously, that isn't going to work as Elfie goes to him and tells him that she has had enough of his antics, screaming at Zio to give him back. We then cut to Colette, who asks what is going on down there. Rose scratches her face and tells her that it looks like Will's being headhunted. But with that, Colette then lights up as she says that if that's the case, then maybe the Earth Fraction should get in on it too, telling Rose that she saw how powerful Will is, explaining that having him would be good for the Fraction. Saying that she promises that it's not because she wants to be closer to him in the tower, Rose just tells her to calm down, but still, it's cute. We then get back, and Elfie asks Zio why he is doing this, asking him if he really wanted to. Then he should have scouted him at the beginning. Zio, while still holding onto Will's head, tells Elfie that he didn't want him then, but now he does, telling her that it's as simple as that. But we can see Elfie getting more frustrated. Zio then continues as he tells her not to put chains on desire. Just one of the little maxims he lives by. Riches, drink, woman, man, whatever he wants, he takes it, and that's what he does. We then see almost everyone collectively calling him a savage, but we then see the Thunder Faction adjutant, Guilford, who just says that he is a paragon of logic and reason, calls him a great mage. We then see Elfie, who apologizes to the great mage of logic, but tells him that she doesn't intend to let anyone take Will away from her. She then gets to him and screams at Zio that she will annihilate anyone who tries. Zio just looks at her with a smug expression and starts to laugh before telling her that she talks a tough game, and that she should come on, she and he, looking right at her as he says that the winner gets Will and asks if that sounds good. Elfie, in an instant, tells him that it sounds perfect. But just then, Claire interrupts as she says that she isn't letting two Magia Vander duke it out over a boy, telling them to knock it off. However, we then see Cariot, who asks her why even try to stop these hotheads. Any intervention on their part would only drag out this already protracted charade, and Eleanor adds on by telling Claire to let the sloth and the savage kill each other. Their absence would only do them good, and we just see Claire asking them to come on now. After that, we see that Elfie has Will in her arms and gives him to Sarissa while telling her to take care of him, and Sarissa is just super lost and silent. After that, she jumps back down and stands against Zio. Someone asks if they are being serious, and someone else says that the two top mages in their world are really going to fight over a boy. We then see Finn, who just loves it, asking what they can do, and that the Magia Vander are free to act however they want. Elfie then genuinely looks super ready as she asks what the signal to start is, but Zio tells her that they don't need one and that they have already begun. After that, we then see Julius by Will as he screams at him to wake up and open his eyes. But suddenly Julius's eyes start to go blank as he can feel an insane amount of attack power behind him. After that, we see that it's Elfie who is starting it off. She says El Glace Froce, El Seven Flores El Caldena, and this spell is honestly insane. Man, this is why I love this manga so much, because the art is like nothing I have ever seen before. Anyway, Colette says that here they go, and Wignall explains that Elfie is casting the big spells right out the gate, but just then, Zio appears right behind Elfie as he tells her that he missed her. Elfie tries to look behind her and tries to get a defense ready, but it's too late as he uses Thunder Howl, and that sends a huge lightning beam right at her. Julius screams out to her for some bizarre reason like, "Bro, back off." Anyway, Zio then starts to look excited as he sees a ton of Elfie clones standing right around. Julius says that it's Weiss clones and asks when she did it. Sarissa, on his side, tells Julius that she summoned them after blocking his view with her Cathedral of Ice. In truth, all she needed was a split second, as Elfie is the fastest caster in the tower. She then puts her glasses up and explains that she isn't just known for her speed, but also her ruthlessness toward her enemies, as we then see all of the clones starting to point their fingers at Zio. After that, some magic circles start to appear all around them, and Elfie tells Zio that Will is her. She then uses Almenta Oliscus and sends a ton of ice beams right at Zio, and trust me when I say a ton, as this is like nothing I have ever seen. Sion, on the side, explains that she just cast a high-grade ice barrage with no incantation, which would normally take an entire chant to cast. He took everything he had to cast that spell down on the 11th floor, and all she did was speak it into existence. He then started to grind his teeth together as he questioned just how she could be so powerful. But still, that's not even all, as she also uses her Reveal Colentibium Stellus Natia attacks right at Zio, who is somewhere buried in the smoke. We then see Cariot, who says that it's a bombardment of crystalline ice on top of the clones she's already summoned. Elfie's pulling out all the stops today. We then see Logwell, who tells him that her icicles are not just powerful, they are also swift and accurate in long-range battle. The Ice Maiden has the upper hand. Lastly, we of course see Finn with the brightest smile ever as he tells them not to forget that there's another beast in the cage with her. We then see Zio stepping out completely unharmed as he asks her if that's all. Elfie then right away looks at him while looking a bit shocked from the looks of it, but suddenly, somehow, he goes right behind Elfie in, like, no joke, an instant. He then completely grabs her head and uses something called Vulcan Flote. This sends a lightning beam strike all throughout all of her clones, so the one he grabbed must also have been a clone. We can then see him flying as he calls out to Elfie. He asks her what's the matter, asking her if this is really all that she's got, telling her that she has no clones left to take shots for her now, and then he goes to Elfie. He grabs her wand and then uses Zalgia Saga and completely sends a killer punch. Luckily, it's just ice that breaks, as it was a clone as well. We then see Elfie high up in the sky, just smiling down. We also see Caradwen, and she says that every exchange up until now has been a ploy to give her time to escape from him and prepare a final assault. We then see Eleanor, who explains that she cast Hide on herself to circumvent any spells. Zio then starts to look right up at her. Meanwhile, Elfie just points at him and asks him how it's going down there, asking if he is having fun playing with her toys. After that, we see a huge magic circle under Elfie, as she then uses Clone Chain Full Connect. Zio gets a weird smile as he then tells her, "Well played," before we then see the entire area being completely filled with ice boulders and water, it seems like. We see a mage telling everyone to deploy barriers. After that, we see Colette, who seems to be pretty shocked by a chain circle, and Rose explains that she leveraged her clones to amplify the potency of a stronger spell, saying that she doubts even a Magiavander could have survived that. However, we obviously then see Zio looking completely unharmed as he tells her, not really, and that fooling around with dolls just doesn't cut it for him. We then see Elfie staring right at him with dead-looking eyes. Meanwhile, Zio's himself. He spins around his spear before launching it right at Elfie and telling her that he wants to play with the real thing. Luckily, Elfie manages to dodge the spear, but then we can see that Zio has just somehow then appeared right on it, as he tells Elfie that he is behind her. After that, he starts to load up a punch as he tells Elfie that down she goes, and this actually seems to hit this time. As Elfie goes flying down to the ground, we do however see her taking her wand at the ground to most likely minimize the damage, but still, we can see her being hurt as she falls down. After that, she doesn't even get a second to breathe as Zio is right behind her, and then once again gets in a massive punch right at her, this time really hurting Elfie as we see her spitting out blood. The force is even so hard that she goes completely through her cathedral. Sarissa then screams out for her. Meanwhile, Zio starts to get out some lightning bolts before telling her that Will is his. We then see Colette, who says that she doesn't understand. All of his attacks until now has been close range. He's not fighting like a mage at all, asking if he is a knight enchanter like Lihana. However, Lihana tells her that she is wrong, and that from what she can see, all he's doing is releasing magic energy. We then see Guilford coming very creepily up behind Lihana, as he tells her that it is very astute, telling Lihana to watch closely, as this is the pinnacle what they in the Thunder faction live by. Great Mage Zio, doesn't rely on complicated magic. He merely lets the energy from him, leaving everything else behind to him. It's nothing more than a form of movement, continuing and saying that it's a technique that inspires dread in all who witness it, calling it Wrath Bolt. After that, we see Logwell, who says that Zio's Wrath Bolt may be the only thing that outpaces Elfie's cast speed. We even see Kreutz, who looks scared and says that he is endowed with a power that defies logic. It is absolutely monstrous. Zio's immeasurable might is the bane of his existence. Lastly, we have Scion, who also looks to be in shock as he explains that Zio is showing them exactly why he's a Magia Vander and how he earned the title of Wand of Thunder, which, to be fair, is super cool. Anyway, we then see the fight going on pretty intensely, but while they are fighting to the death, we hear Ceridwen asking Finn who he thinks will emerge victorious. Finn looks confidently as he says that he believes in Zio. He goes deeper into it as he explains that Elfie created 12 spells on her own. There's no denying she's a whiz at spell work, but Zio is the king of praxis. He's second only to Aaron in dungeon progression, having made it 48 floors down himself. His mastery at applying magic is irrefutable. He'd say he's a man who is as much of a sword as he is a wand, and on top of that, if he is being honest, then Will would be better served under the direction of Zio than Elfie. After that, we move over to Cariot, who is sitting comfortably in his chair as he explains that if this were a long-range clash, then Elfie might have a chance, but as long as Zio keeps things close, he will dominate her. He then has a creepy smile as he explains that he thinks that they have a victor. However, after that, we move to Eleanor, who looks super down. We then see Philvis calling out to Lefia. He tells her that Eleanor seems to be disconsolate and asks her why she thinks that. Lefia tells him that it's simple, continuing as she says that she once lost to Elfie in a contest of ice magic. As much as she'd hate to see Elfie win, she doesn't want her to lose either. In a few words, she's stuck between a glacier and a hard place. After that, we then, funnily enough, see Eleanor, who screams out and asks them who said that the two of them could talk. We then head back into the battle, where we see that Zio got in a massive blow and sent Elfie right into the seating area, and she has a ton of blood going down her face. Sarissa calls out to her. Meanwhile, Julius starts to grab Will's shirt. He screams at him to wake up, asking Will if he is just going to lie here while Elfie loses to that madman. He starts to shake Will upside down and tells him that Will is the only one who can give her the push she needs to pull through. After that, we actually start to hear a couple of mumbles coming out from Will before he says, "Elfie," with a weak tone. Anyway, we then move back to Elfie, and we can see the goggles she gave to Will are on top of an ice shard. After that, Zio starts to go to her and asks her if she is all out of tricks now. Zio then starts to look pretty manic, as he tells her that he then guesses that it's time for him to take his prize. He then points his finger right, and is about to load up a beam right at Elfie. However, to our surprise, it seems that there's a beam going to Zio instead. It goes right past him and brushes his face, even making him start to bleed a bit. We even see a lot of shocked faces before Ceridwen has a smug expression as she says that it looks to her like Elfie still is running, continuing and saying that Elfie is just as tenacious as Will, and this panel is just crazy. Like, I am honestly really speechless. Elfie then speaks up. She tells Zio that he isn't taking anything. She screams at him that Will is not his to take. Zio screams back as he tells her that the Ice Witch lives, saying that she's even feistier than ever. He then admits that he has never seen her so riled up before, asking her what it is that has motivated this stunning transformation of hers, explaining that he needs to know. Elfie then holds on to Will's goggles as she screams that this is love, and I think that Elfie might be my all-time favorite character now. Anyway, Zio is super confused by this, but Elfie then closes her eyes as she squeezes the goggles. After that, she explains that Will has risked his life to protect her. He's put in the work to make it here to be with her. He's kept his promise, and now it's her turn. She looks extremely fired up as she screams that her love for him will see her victorious over anyone who stands in her way. Zio just laughs as he finally realizes that this is it and that Elfie desires him. Sadly, we then move to Colette, who we can see grips the bridge thing extremely hard because of this, and Rose just looks at her. Anyway, back to the fight, where Zio tells her that she is a fool, but still, he asks her to show him just what her love can do. We then see Finn, who explains that Zio's Wrath Bolt technique is nothing if not swift. The lightning flows through his body, boosting his movement and reaction speed, enabling him to unleash a mighty and rapid assault no mage could counter. However, the question is, what good are the boons of Wrathbolt if you can't even move? As we then see, Elfie has used her El Glace Frosse El10, Mildas Freuderite. Zio even then has a smile on his face as he asks what this is. Elfie tells him that this is a barrier spell, and a painfully infuriating one to cast at that. She explains that it requires she expend half of her magical energy within a certain range to manifest, meaning she has to cast plenty of spells just to set it up, asking if it isn't truly inconvenient. We then see Wignall thinking that the barrage of high-grade spells was just for this barrier. Lihanna thinks that she set up this trap, knowing Zio would fight her into a corner. We then cut to Eleanor, who explains that she pulled the same trick on her. It's her secret weapon. The closer you get to her, the more frozen you become. The savage's speed has become his own worst enemy. We then cut back to Elfie, who explains that she initially created this spell because Will was too shy to sit still and let her hug him, which is so cute. But she continues and says that instead, she used it on him, and now he is stuck, but not for long, as it will be over soon. We then see Zio calling her a nasty witch, but Elfie just tells him that he is free to call her whatever he wants, but that Will is hers. She then starts to load up a punch of her own, as she looks super determined and explains that she will protect Will, just as if he were her bride. And it's official. Elfie is the best character in all of fiction. Anyway, she then manages to send Zio legit flying with her punch. Guilford can't even believe it, and Julius starts to shake Will upside down as he says that Elfie did it, telling him to open his eyes and that she really did it. We then see that he will open his eyes a bit as he just says Elfie's name. But not long after, we see Zio punching his way out of it, and we see Elfie looking extremely annoyed as she can hear laughter coming. We then see Zio, who is super damaged, but he says that the usurper approaches. After that, he starts to just look more insane as he says, "Light of innocence, thine eyes pure, look upon the promised summit of glory, and witness as thy greatness is upended by the viper." We then see Cariot, who thinks that it's an incantation, and that Zio is through with playing games. We then see Eleanor being super pissed off, as she also thinks that it would take an unfathomable amount of magic to break through Elfie's barrier, and it seems that Zio's stupid enough to try. We then see her just calling him a reckless savage. She then calls for both Lefia and Fivlis, and then in the next panel, they are just gone, which was pretty cool. We then head to Colette, who questions herself about what this even is, and that she has never seen anything like it. Cian also looks really scared as he explains that Zio is casting a supreme grade spell. However, Elfie isn't backing down as she seems to be doing the same thing as she says, "White ice arise, wild vortex of chaos, torn shield of protection, remnants of war, as paradise dies, may silver white come to shroud it. As wintry winds blow, may witches mourn the heroes lost." With that, we then move back to Zio, who still isn't done yet. By the way, I'm not sure if you guys find it annoying with me reading these incantation lines, but hopefully it's fine. Anyway, Zio says, "Thrust thine unfair punishment unto the falsely accused. Cast the brand of sin into a sea of blood. May the prominent tumble, see praise turn to hate, and put love to sleep. May reason shatter, see lamentation, the mask of Minos." We then see Lefia and Fivlis again, and they together explain that attacking, moving and casting all at the same time, a textbook example of harmonic casting, an elfin technique, the savage is not above theft, and that he's made quite clear. We then go back to the goat Elfie, who's still doing her incantation as she says, "People perish, invaders depart." Then, nothingness. In her frozen castle, alone, the witch stands, tears onto graves, prayers to ashes, and oaths to the beyond. The throne of solitude now declares itself a protector. After that, we see a really shocked Julius as he says that it's a channeled incantation. Thinking that one after the other, the clones carry the spell on for her. What he tried to do up against the Grand Duke was nothing compared to the real thing. We then see Will behind him, who has finally woken up and asks if Elfie is fighting. Zio starts to smile right at Elfie as he says, "Deception cuts through to truth. Trample over all obstacles. Cut down the naysayers. Seize the power you know is thine own, and upon the viper, celebrate the splendor of despair." Elfie then looks at him with a cool facial expression, as she herself says, "With wings of frost and a keeper's beak, wielding an ivory truth, the ruler of the icy skies severs the chain of sorrow." We then see a whole aura starting to spawn around both of them, and Zio says with a derisive sneer, "The mighty demon sings," countered by Elfie, who says with a solemn visage, "The wise sage hums." After that, both of them look more than ready as they together scream an eternal hymn for the ephemeral flora that deceiveth the world. They then take out their hands and start to call back their wands, which was super sick. Zio then directs it at Elfie as he says, "Eradicate the kingdom of bellowing thunder and deliver demise unto the foolish." Meanwhile, Elfie also directs her wand at Zio as she says, "Come forth, world of silver, and deliver peace unto the sky." We then, however, see Will screaming out and telling Elfie to wait up. However, it's far too late, as Zio has already summoned his Vilgus Argo Thorzeus, and Elfie has summoned her Glacia Last Albus. And guys, come on now, what even is this? Like, this is the greatest masterpiece I have ever seen in my life. Anyway, with that, we see the two creatures starting to close the distance and go right at each other. We also see both Lefia and Fivlis saying, Dio's Grail, which looks like it creates some sort of barrier around them. As just after that, the two creatures collide. And now I know I have said it already, but this is peak fiction. The force from their battle is so great that even the normal citizens can feel it, as we see Werkner, who says that explosions are coming from inside the tower, only they have the power to produce such sounds. Edward adds on that it's those blasted beasts, and they both know that it has to be the Magiavander. We then head back to the fight, and we now see that almost the entire battle area is completely destroyed. We see a couple of mages even wondering if they are alive, and that they were sure that they were gone. We then, however, get to Will, who gets up in an instant as he screams out Elfie's name. After that, we see both Zio and Elfie right by the broken wall and lying down in a mess, with them both having a ton of blood on them. Zio even then has a smile as he says that it looks like they each got in a good hot one, telling her that he didn't think she had it in her. Elfie just tells him that she was just about to say the same to him. We then see Zio starting to get up again as he tells Elfie that the last spell took everything he had, but they still have a fight to finish, right? Elfie tells him that he is spot on, and after that, we see both of them once again rushing at each other. However, just when they are about to collide, we see Cariot stopping Zio and Eleanor stopping Elfie. Both of them explain that the time's up. Elfie, however, is mad as she tells Eleanor to get out of the way. Eleanor tells her that, as much as she supports them destroying each other, she is afraid they have run out of time. Zio then tells Cariot to get lost, but he just tells him that they stood by and let the two of them make a spectacle of themselves, yet neither of them emerged victorious, calling it embarrassing. But now that the king has arrived, perhaps he can weigh in on their predicament. With that, we see Aaron coming down, and he screams at them that it's enough. He explains that he will not tolerate any further friction between the Magiavander. Zio right away screams at him to stay out of this and calls him an ancient white beard. Elfie joins in as she tells him that his peacemaking is useless, saying that she will not back down until the issue of Will's placement is settled. Zio also says that he doesn't see any way of solving this that doesn't involve him taking her down. After that, both of them get mad at each other as they stare intensely at each other. Aaron just looks at them before he tells them rock, paper, scissors, and with that, we can see everyone being completely dumbfounded. Anyway, Aaron tells them to attempt to resolve this with another method, and Will falls under his placement, asking if they understand. He then tells them to go on, and that he is watching right here. With that, the two of them don't hesitate as they go right into it and say that they will defeat the other fair and square. While the two of them are off doing rock, paper, scissors, we see Will ask Julius if he minds explaining to him what is going on. Julius just wonders where he should even start, but says that it is Will's fault at the very least. The time then goes, and we see that for 299 rounds they have made ties. But then for the 300th time, we can see that Zio manages to win with rock, and this makes Elfie scream out with all that she can. Zio tells her to eat it. Meanwhile, Elfie is crying uncontrollably on the floor. Zio then grabs onto Will as he says that to the victor go the spoils, like it or not, but Will is coming with him. Will is just super confused at this point, but we then see Elfie, who has gotten up and starts to hold on to Will, saying that she won't let him take Will, as Will is only hers. Will looks at Elfie, who is crying more and more. He thinks that he has almost forgotten that he isn't the only one who was alone. Elfie climbed her way up the tower all by herself. She's been waiting for 6 long years. He knows that he can't make her wait any longer, and that he wants to be with her, but after that, he speaks up. As he puts his arms on her shoulders, he tells her that it's all right, telling her that they will meet again and that he will make sure of it. At this point, Elfie can almost not even say her name as she just starts to cry even more. But just then, Sarissa grabs a hold of Elfie and tells her that they have to go. Elfie looks crushed, but Will just smiles right at her. Sarissa tells Elfie to please not embarrass herself any further in front of the entire tower's Grand Mage. However, Elfie is just talking against her the whole way, but when she has finally been dragged out, we can see Will clearly be super sad as he starts to almost cry.